This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Monday the 30th day of December in the year 2019. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Local conglomerate Banks DIH Limited has recorded another year of improved earnings and profits. In its annual report, which has been dispatched to shareholders, Banks DIH has announced an improvement in its shareholders' value by recording a whopping 14.3% increase in after-tax profits. According to the company's Chief Executive Officer Clifford Reese, the group's third-party revenue was $32.9 billion compared to $30.5 billion in 2018, and this represented an increase of $2.3 billion. Profit after tax attributable to shareholders was $4.8 billion compared to $4.2 billion in 2018, an increase of $611 million. On a micro scale, this means that there has been a growth in shareholders' value. Reese revealed that the company's net asset value per share increased from $40.14 to $45.25, and that the dividend payment of $951 million was made from the $4.8 billion net profit. In relation to capital expenditure, it was highlighted that heavy investments were made in capital equipment over the past year. Among these investments were the installation of increased storage capacity for potable water and equipment to accommodate increased production of ice cream products and new flavors of frosty products. Reese said the capital expenditure focus for 2020 will be primarily on capital equipment for the beer bottling plant, which encompasses the procurement and installation of an uncaser, a case packer, conveyors, and a labeler. Additionally, he shared that expenditure will go towards the purchase of trucks and lift trucks to further the selling and distribution activities, and investments in the construction of a new multi-level vehicle parking facility and Banks Automotive and Services Incorporated, which will be located at the Marara Park. Meanwhile, the revenue of Citizens Bank, a 51% owned subsidiary of Banks DIH, was $3.4 billion compared to $3.1 billion in 2018, an increase of $262 million or 8.3%. It was also revealed that profit before tax was $1.5 billion compared to $1 billion in 2018, an increase of $590 million or 58.5%. Similarly, the after-tax profit increased by 58.6% from $602 million in 2018 to $955 million this year. The improved results were, according to the chairman, derived principally from the increases in physical sales of core products sold both in the domestic and export markets. But this was not achieved without challenges. According to the chairman, for the greater part of the year, the company was challenged to adjust to the impact with rising fuel prices on the international market and locally. He said that the challenge, among others, necessitated prudent management of financial and human resources. However, the chairman shared an optimistic outlook for 2020 with the commencement of oil production in Guyana, noting that the company will continue to examine its core competencies to respond to new opportunities which may be made available from that sector. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's bigger, it's better, it's back! It's GTT's plus size Christmas promotion! Connect with your friends and loved ones with GTT services to benefit from our biggest ever Christmas bundle of specials and be one of our plus size winners. Visit our website or call 227-9444 for more information today.
Big bundles for you. Big bundles for you. Top up a grand, we make a winner out of you. We got a game show for you. Game show for you.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guyana Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guyana's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
At the most critical life-changing moments, the National Insurance Scheme is here to ensure that your needs are covered. Access reimbursement for medical expenses for various aspects of your medical care. We know that eye care is of utmost importance. Receive assistance with our Spectacle Care voucher. Visiting the dentist? Dental care is also covered under our sickness benefit services. Offset the funeral expenses of a loved one with costs covered by our funeral benefits. National Insurance Scheme. We're there every step of the way.
Lighting is an absolutely important aspect of the festive season, and GPL encourages you to consider these tips when lighting your beautiful homes and businesses. Unplug your lights before you go to sleep or leave the building. Rather than adding more lights to your tree, try enhancing the existing lighting with tinsel, mirrored ornaments, or other reflective items. Before hanging up your holiday lights, check for damaged sockets, plugs, and cords. Replace if damaged. If you plan to string out lights outdoors, be absolutely certain they're marked for outdoor use. And if you use a ladder when decorating outside, stay away from power lines. The same can be said for lights. Do not place them near power lines. A message from the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated. Happy holidays.
Enter the GBTI Quick Cash Christmas promotion and make it a Christmas to remember. You get up to $500,000 easy for anything you want this Christmas. Plus, enter for a chance to win fabulous items for your home. One complete 7-foot granite top base kitchen cabinet, one sectional suite, one 5-piece dinette set, and complimentary baskets of goodies. Apply at your nearest branch or online at www.gbtibank.com. GBTI, we see Christmas through your eyes.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong, be the one to live right.
Welcome back, and we turn now to the world of politics. With his party's General Secretary sitting with arms folded on his right, PPP presidential candidate Irfan Ali today promised to run a campaign that will be free of gutter politics and negative campaigning. Mr. Ali and PPP General Secretary Bara Jagdeo hosted an end-of-year press conference this afternoon at the opposition leader's office. Questioned about issues that are still lingering about his suitability to serve as a presidential candidate for the PPP, Mr. Ali said confidence has been reposed in him by his party's leadership and he will conduct a positive campaign.
And I'm not into negative campaigning. I have a positive outlook about our country. I have a positive outlook about this campaign. I am not going to be burdened. I'm not going to burden myself with negativity. The leadership of this party has placed responsibility in me, they've placed confidence in me, and I have a duty to every single Guyanese to ensure that I do my best in their interests, in the interests of this country, in bringing our people together, in bringing development, in bringing growth, and creating a better life for every single Guyanese. And that is the only thing that I'm interested in, that is the only thing that I'm pursuing with the team, and that is what gives me energy every day.
In the past week, full-page advertisements have appeared in the local newspapers by a group calling itself Committee to Save the PPP. The group believes that Ali should be recalled as a presidential candidate, since in its opinion he cannot lead the PPP to victory. The group is of the opinion that Dr. Frank Anthony or Anil Nandlal could serve as possible replacements. Today, Ali said he believes that the governing coalition is behind the advertisements, but he said he's not worried about that.
I know for sure that I am very positive. I normally answer critics with success. So we're going to work on greater success and the success at these elections to improve the lives of people. And
this issue will linger because it's being worked on by the opposing side.
Fake documents being created.
Chiming in on the issue, PPP General Secretary Bara Jagdeo appeared convinced also that the ads and questions about Ali's suitability may only be coming from the coalition.
But we knew this is the only card that they can play now through these sneaky ads, etc. They don't even have the courage to come out and say it openly, but because they have nothing else to say.
Jagdeo said the advertisement questioning Ali's suitability is nothing but fake news. Meanwhile, on questions of the authenticity of Ali's certificates and qualifications, the presidential candidate himself said he believes he has addressed the issue enough, and it is now a closed chapter for him. Well, 9 of the 10 recently elected mayors and their deputies took the oath of office today before President David Granger. The New Amsterdam mayor was absent from the ceremony due to personal reasons. After administering the oath of office to the mayors and their deputies, President Granger reminded them of the importance of local government organs and the role that those organs have to play in ensuring the development of their townships.
The government of Guyana functions at 3 levels: national, regional, and local. All 3 levels must collaborate to ensure the efficient delivery of public services to every citizen everywhere in the country. All 3 levels must be competent in order to ensure good governance.
And the president said his government will remain supportive of the municipalities and the NDCs.
Government's policy of regionalization over the last 4.5 years has been aimed at ensuring a nation of strong regions. This policy strengthens the role of capital towns in regional development. Town councils, consistent with this policy, should continuously revamp and retool their administrative systems to enable them to become engines of enterprise, agents of employment, and engines of economic development.
Many of the mayors spoke about some of the areas that they intend to focus on. Most highlighted the need for increased revenue collection and transformation for their townships. The mayors have all thanked their citizens for reposing confidence in them as they begin a new term as the chief citizen in their respective towns. Well, with 6,000 new applications for house lots made this year alone, the Central Housing and Planning Authority intends to ensure that there is more land allocation made to the small man or those considered in the lower income brackets. Those 6,000 new applications have brought the total number of active applications to over 60,000. At the end of year press conference today, the Chief Executive Officer of the Central Housing and Planning Authority, Leland Saul, said the authority will continue to subsidize the cost of housing to ensure citizens are able to acquire house lots.
We recognize what is the problem, and that is why I think that we are taking a bold decision now to address the needs of the small man. We cannot ignore the small man. We cannot, and we should not. And therefore, we must provide housing for them. And we at this agency, we recognize that. And if I may, next year, we are looking at different approaches how we can address people's needs in terms of, be it aid self-help, if embracing the co-op movement and get the cooperative movement to be much more involved. And there are several approaches. Some of these things were done before, and we want to revisit those things to ensure that we address the needs of the small man.
Mr. Saul said he does not want to come across as discriminatory, but when one sees the living conditions of many working class citizens, it is clear that more needs to be done to cater for them.
We cannot ignore the small man. There are many people in this country, and you see it. You go to Georgetown, you walk around Georgetown in the night. We have citizens sleeping in the streets. Go in rural Guyana and you see how some people live. People should not be living like that. And therefore we have to address this problem. We must address this problem.
For 2019 so far, the Central Housing and Planning Authority has allocated 1,298 house lots, which exceeds the target that was set. The housing CEO was clear to point out that the authority will continue to put systems in place to ensure every citizen has a roof over their head. He announced that 1,400 acres of land was recently purchased from Gaisuco for housing development. The Central Housing and Planning Authority will also be looking to strengthen its enforcement arm to address issues related to persons who were allocated house lots and government housing but not occupying them. Operations Director of the Central Housing and Planning Authority, Denise King Tudor, told reporters today that there are a number of reasons why persons may have been slow in occupying government housing. She said the authority would write them and invite them to meetings as the initial steps, and that could be followed up by a stronger response if the non-occupation continues.
And so we are working with the purchasers to get them to move in, because the thing about it, when someone would have demonstrated a need to us that, you know what, I need housing, I need somewhere to live, we are expecting that within the shortest possible time they will complete that transaction with us and they'll move in those houses, you know, and little by little. But we have some cases, not so, we have a few in Perseverance, where we still have a few in the Providence area, those some of those that was under the 1,000 homes project, and we have been we're getting results.
There have been reported cases where persons decided to give up their allocation after being unable to meet the financial requirements for the commercial banks. The authority is also concerned about those who have met all the requirements but are still not occupying their homes. With the need for more housing solutions to be made available, Tudor said in some of those instances, the person should simply go into the authority and make it known that they may no longer be interested in an allocated house or house lot. Minister within the Ministry of Communities, Annette Ferguson, said the government will continue with its push for affordable housing solutions. She noted that a number of projects are to come on stream in the new year that will benefit citizens more. In the world of health, efforts by the National AIDS Program Secretariat are continuing to reap success, as Guyana has recorded a decrease in the HIV prevalence rate in the country, but it's a slight decrease from 1.9% to 1.4%. This was announced today by the Deputy Program Manager of NAPS, Dr. Nicolette Butswain, at a press conference. Presently, there are 8,200 Guyanese who have tested positive for HIV, and among the most vulnerable group is young people between the ages of 15 and 35. The World Health Organization estimates that at the end of 2018, 37.9 million people were living with HIV across the world. And according to the local program manager, even with a decrease in Guyana, there remains an urgent need for the strengthening of the country's awareness program to bring the figure down even further. Back in September, Minister of Public Health Walter Lawrence noted that 73% of infected persons are presently on treatment, while 81% of them have so far achieved viral suppression, so they can no longer transmit the infection to their partners. The dissolution of the National Assembly and the Regional Democratic Councils took effect today. The dissolving of the two sides set the stage for the March 2020 elections, which will see the election of new members of parliament and councillors on the 10 regional democratic councils in Guyana. President David Granger issued a proclamation to dissolve the two on Friday, following a meeting with the Elections Commission. The president said the Elections Commission has indicated to him that it remains on stream for the elections on the 2nd of March. He said he remains confident in the chairman and the commissioners of the Elections Commission, and the government will continue to lend support to the body to ensure credible elections are held. The Elections Commission is set to issue its revised voters list soon, and nomination day is set to take place on the 10th of January. A tenant of a house that went up in flames this afternoon in Princess Street died after collapsing at the scene of the fire. The man has been identified as 47-year-old Gavin North. He was a driver attached to the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs. He was at work at the time of the blaze and reportedly rushed home and collapsed at the scene of the burning building after seeing the upper flat where he lived gutted. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The fire service was called to the scene of the blaze just before 12 noon, but the fire quickly engulfed the upper flat of the building. The two-story house was divided into different sections, and it is suspected that the fire started in an apartment on the upper flat. Some traumatized occupants were left counting their losses at the scene and trying to figure out their next move.
My friend, my neighbor, my roommate, the guy that fell down Mr. Nat, he called me and asked me about it, and then I called this young man that works with NCN, and he told me yes. So I left right away from work and I come and see the fire. And they're going to tell me how the fire come from the back. A whole lot of stuff I had. I had a fridge, I had a chair set, I had some other equipments, fine things, my NIS card, ID card, passport, birth certificate, everything. Bed, but two mattresses, 2 thick mattresses. It's a good thing I didn't bring my TV.
Basically, the fire started at the back building, the back. The apartment there, they lock up. We had to try to break in, to throw some water. We break in, the most we could do is throw the 2 water, and by the time knife, boom. By the time they reach, the fire done up there done smoky. So barely kept grab some fine stuff.
The Guyana Fire Service is investigating the cause of the blaze. Across the region is coming up next.
They've impact on the heavy-duty transportation industry in Guyana since they've arrived. Guyanese are amazed at their power, durability, efficiency, and superior handling capabilities. These are brand new trucks, manufactured in partnership with German, Italian, and French companies. They have a powerful reputation for operating under very adverse Guyanese conditions and come with full after-sales service and spare parts. They're the most sought-after trucks today, with over 500 units in Guyana, and they're available in over 100 countries, including South America and the Caribbean. Be smart. Buy brand new ST Howo trucks today. Call 608-4998 and arrange for an inspection at ST Truck Guyana Incorporated, Block B, Public Road, Covenant, East Bank, Demerara.
There once was a man named Stan whose business needed a new plan. Christmas was coming, this much was true. He needed some help but didn't know what to do. Then fast as a flash, 3 helpers did come from Republic Bank. They came with some. One had low interest rates, one reduced equity, one with approval so quick and easy. Now Stan is the man and his business is booming. Christmas is good and he is winning. Reach more customers and boost your business with a Republic Small Business Loan today.
Only for this Christmas. Get 20% off on educational tablets. Get the B-Link HD8 with 180 plus full version educational apps for students in pre-K to 5th grade. It's perfect for homeschooling. Get creative with the Edu Tab Pro 10.1, designed for professionals, teachers and higher education students. Whether you are an architect or artist, there is an EduTab for you. EduTab tablets were designed for Caribbean students. Order online, or at Zune Online Shopping, on Middle Street, Georgetown. Ask for Miss Green. Get yours today.
Special terms and conditions apply. Coupon cannot be used in conjunction with other coupons. Orders may be subject to local taxes and import duties. Discount price is promotional for online orders only and does not include local nor international shipping. Purchase limited to 2 devices per household.
The National Data Management Authority is responsible for creating ICT hubs in the country. In Region 6, we have about 58 community ICT hubs and hotspots. It has benefit communities in many ways. You have persons, young and old, they partake in basic computer training, and then they use the skill they would have learned and take it to the work environment.
When it first opened, I come, and then the teacher just told us when they go print what date, they go start print on, and the rest of the day we go, if we have assignment or homework, we go and use the computer. Mrs. Shoawi, how for research it and save it and thing, and then I practice and I get used. When I get used, I know everything. Even I know how to print. The hub, so when I come and do my homework, the internet is extremely good. So when I do my homework and teacher has give away assignment and score down, I have 20, sometimes I have 10 out of 10, and you know, I always get my full amount of marks.
Across the region right now, the chairman of the 15-member Caribbean Community, Prime Minister Alan Chastanet, said the regional grouping exemplifies the spirit of togetherness when they celebrate their achievements in different fields of endeavor and when they stand in solidarity with those who are faced with adverse circumstances. In an end-of-year statement, the St. Lucian Prime Minister noted that the future of the community is as bright as the season it is celebrating. He said, for instance, the Caribbean celebrated with St. Vincent and the Grenadines when it won a seat on the UN Security Council earlier this year. He said that engendered great pride in both the country and CARICOM, demonstrating that there is still space at the highest global forum for small states. The Prime Minister, who will be replaced at the start of the new year by the Barbadian Prime Minister, said the Caribbean community also stood solidly at the side of the Bahamas following the passage of Hurricane Dorian, which left nearly 70 people dead. Several others are still missing, and damages estimated at $3.4 billion. He said the destruction was another reminder of the effects of climate change, which Caribbean countries continue to experience with devastating consequences. Uruguay says it has seized a record haul of 6 tons of cocaine, calling it the biggest setback for drug traffickers in the country's history. Naval and Customs officers seized 4.4 tons of the drug at a port. It had been hidden in 4 soy flour containers destined for Togo. Another 1.5 tons was later found on a ranch, local reports said. The drugs have an estimated total street value of $1.3 billion. Uruguay is increasingly being used as a transshipment point to move drugs from Latin America to Africa and Europe. The country's previous record haul was in November, when authorities uncovered a container with 3 tons of cocaine. And finally tonight, international news. Iraqi Prime Minister Adel Abdel Mahdi has condemned the U.S. airstrikes which killed at least 25 members of an Iranian-backed Iraqi militia. Mr. Mahdi said the U.S. action on Sunday had violated Iraq's sovereignty. The Prime Minister appeared to suggest that Iraq would now have to review its relationship with the U.S. U.S. forces targeted the Kataib Hezbollah militia in retaliation for attacks on bases in Iraq that are used by the U.S. military. The Americans have fought for years alongside Iraqi government forces in their confrontation with ISIS. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.